been a while. What's up YouTube? Plant-based burgers. Let's just do it. Now, you know I know that the gold standard when it comes to readily available plant-based burgers is Beyond Burgers. And they're delicious, love them, have them occasionally. The issue with it is that they are expensive. And frankly, so are a lot of the alternatives. So sometimes what you want to do is just get your hands all dirty, get in the kitchen and just make it yourself. The question is, and I see this on forums for plant-based food and vegan lifestyle, etc. all the time, is how do I make really good plant-based burgers at home from scratch? Now, these are going to be predominantly made from a mix of wheat gluten flour and TVP, which is textured vegetable protein. Now, both of these, along with everything else, are readily available in almost any health food store. They're also available online. In fact, I get usually both of these from Amazon delivered straight to my door. They're not expensive. In fact, they're crazy cheap. And other than that, with one exception, which I'll show you in a second, is just stuff that you can buy in the supermarket. It's predominantly just a mix of herbs and spices, some soy sauce, some plain flour, flax seed, which if you're plant-based, you probably have already. If not, again, you can pick it up anywhere, health food stores, Amazon, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of plain flour. I think I already mentioned plain flour. Let's move along. And this is liquid smoke. Now, you won't necessarily find this in every household's kitchen, but it is an absolute godsend when it comes to making anything smoky, meaty, and just delicious. I got this on Amazon, I think, really cheap, but again, you can pick it up in almost any health food store, even some supermarkets, so look out for that because it is a really handy thing to have in the cupboard. Other than that, that's pretty much it. There's nothing extra special. There's no chemicals, there's no nasty stuff, there's no artificial stuff in this. These are actually really healthy. They're an excellent source of protein, numerous minerals. Won't go into it. Look it up if you want to know more. Let's make these right now. Okay, first things first, the textured vegetable protein, or TVP. You want 1 cup of this. Now this is dry. So stick this in here. Before anything else, you need to rehydrate this. Now, what I'm gonna use, but you don't have to, you can use vegetable stock for this, but I picked these up in the local supermarket and these are vegan beef stock cubes. So this particular one is OXO. You'll see it in a red packet. They do the regular beef flavored stock, but they also do the vegan or plant-based beef stock. And this will just give it a slightly meatier flavor. So I'm just gonna break this up. Pour in some boiling water to turn that into a nice beefy flavored stock. Pour this into here. Give it a little bit of a stir just to make sure that all of the dried TVP mixture is nice and wet. Make a mess of the tabletop while you're at it. Pat that down a little bit and stick a plate over it. Leave that to one side for about 10 minutes, just until all of the TVP is soaked up all of the liquid. It's dried out a little bit. If it's still wet at the end of your 10 minutes, just stick it in a sieve, press it down a little bit carefully, because obviously the water will be boiling hot, and just try and press as much of that water out as you can. Next step, and this one is a really important one. Here I have 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed. And I'm just gonna stick this into a little ramekin and mix it carefully with 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of water. It doesn't need to be hot, doesn't need to be cold. And all we're gonna do there is just mix that in a little bit. If you can see that, it sort of just soaks up the water a little bit. Leave this probably for 3 to 5 minutes. And what that will do is become almost like a gelatinous, gloopy mixture. And the purpose of this is gonna operate in place of egg. It's gonna get all gloopy, and then when we add it into the mixture later on, it's just gonna bind it all together. I don't know if you've ever tried making plant-based burgers at home, depending on what you're making them with, but without any form of a binding agent, they can have a tendency when you're cooking them to just crumble apart, and nobody wants that. This, once it's set and then mixed in with everything else, will just keep everything nice and tight and together. Okay, next up, while those two are doing, grab yourself a large mixing bowl and add into it 1 cup of your wheat gluten flour. Make sure that all gets in there. Now on this plate, I have 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and then 1/2 teaspoon each of ground black pepper and salt. So just get all of that in there and give it a good mix. Make sure that everything is all mixed in nicely. Now with that done, stick that to one side and grab yourself another mixing bowl, and in here we are going to add our textured vegetable protein. Make sure that you get all of that out there. 1/2 cup of plain white flour, 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of our delicious liquid smoke, roughly 1 tablespoon of tomato puree, and 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Once again, give that a really good mix. Now the still slightly moist TVP should soak up all of the plain flour, and you'll be left with this very wet, gloopy, but delicious smelling mixture. And the rest of it is all just the good stuff. So you've got your wet ingredients, you've got your egg replacement, and you've got your dry ingredients. All we're doing here now is mixing them together. So I find this easier to use an actual spatula, but let me just get all of this out of the bowl, or at least as much of it as I can. Grab your rather disgusting looking egg replacement, pour that in there as well. And now just mix this together, mix it well. Now, once this is as mixed as it's gonna get with a spoon, it's time to get fun. It's time to use your actual cooking utensils here and just get in there. Mix it, squelch it, squeeze it. It's disgusting. And what we're looking for is a slightly wet but elasticy dough that should scrape the sides of the bowls for the most part. You're not going to be able to get every little bit off of it, but try if you can and wipe the inside of the bowl with the dough, turn it around a little bit, and just get as much of that goodness out of there as you can. And when you've done that, stick it onto a chopping board. It doesn't need to be on a chopping board. I just do this to try and not make too much of a mess, but as you can see, I'm really bad at that. And you just want to start kneading it a little bit. It doesn't need to be anything heavy. You're not going to be in here for 10-15 minutes. You just want to knead it out a little bit, try and get it a little bit more elasticy. The reason being is the wheat gluten flour that you've used as part of the base of this responds when you knead it. So once it's mixed with water and it's formed into a dough, the more you knead it, the tougher, meatier it's gonna become. So you don't wanna overdo it at this step, but you do just wanna stretch it out a little bit, fold it back in on itself, as though you were making a bread dough, really. But you just don't need to knead it for as long. Now, believe it or not, we are almost done with this. This is ready to cook, almost. The only thing we need to do now is divide it up into portions and turn them into burger patties. Now this will make 4 large burgers. I'm talking 1/4 pounder burgers or bigger, or 6 sort of medium-sized burgers. Normally I quite like a big chunky burger, but in this instance I'm gonna divide this into 6. So I'm just gonna roll it out a little bit. Now, you can get all scientific on this and use the scales and make sure that they all weigh the same. I absolutely and unequivocally do not do that because I'm not that precious. So I'm just gonna cut this log into half, and then I know roughly I can divvy this back up into 3, which I'm gonna do, just sausage it out a little bit. That is a verb, it's not, but there we are. I chop this, and then again here, and then really hope that on camera this is 3 relatively equal portions. I'm just going to roll it into a bit of a ball. Again, if it's not quite getting into a ball shape, you can just knead it a little bit more, roll it into a ball, flatten it out a little bit, and thanks to the egg replacement that we made out of flax, this should, for the most part, hold together. And these are done. These are done. These are ready to cook. Now, there are a variety of different ways that you can cook these. Generally speaking, I just stick them on a grill, a George Foreman sort of style grill, just because it's a little bit quicker. But these can be fried in a little bit of oil for about 4 to 6 minutes on each side until they're brown. Or they can be tossed straight onto a barbecue and cooked the exact same way that you would a meat burger. They can also just be wrapped up in a little bit of baking paper and stored in the fridge. They will last easily 2 to 3 days as long as they're in the fridge and they are moderately airtight. But this is it. These are good to go. These are ready to cook. These can be done in 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how you're going to be cooking them. And these are going to taste and smell absolutely incredible. I'm going to stick a couple of these on the grill right now so that you can see what they look like when they're good. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit more now. This burger, although has become slightly unrounded and it's slightly too big for the bun, but these are the only buns I've got in stock, so these are the only ones that are gonna do. Make sure that your bun is naturally buttered. If you're having it in a bun, slip that on there. Get yourself a little slice of plant-based cheese. Melt said cheese. A couple of pickles. Now actually, now that I've said that, this burger's quite big, we're gonna need more pickles. Couple more pickles. Then you just need to sauce this baby up, or over sauce it, as the case may be here. Personally, I like a bit of ketchup and a bit of mustard, sometimes mayonnaise, but not today. And this burger is absolutely divine. Stick your lid on there. Use a brioche bun if ever you're gonna make a YouTube video, but hey, look, this channel is all about making stuff simple and in the house. But see this burger here, this is delicious. And there it is. It really is as simple as that. And I hate it in YouTube videos, especially tutorials or cooking videos, when someone says, it's as easy as that, and they've just spent 4 hours in the kitchen making something out of witchcraft and moss. But this really is simple to make. Trust me, I wouldn't make this if it wasn't easy and relatively quick, because I get lazy in the kitchen. I just want food and recipes to be quick, easy, and really tasty. And this has been tried and tested by my wife. And she's actually quite hard to please when it comes to food. And I know that someone in the comments section, because they always do somewhere, say, why do you want to replicate the taste and texture of meat? If you're vegan, you shouldn't want to enjoy all that things. Look, I'm not saying that a real meat burger isn't delicious. I'm not saying that for 1 second. In fact, it is. That's why I'm copying it. But there it is. So many people in so many forums are asking for a really easy but still good, decent, tasty, delicious meat burger recipe. Here it is. I really, really want you to give it a try. You might not have all of the ingredients, you might not have everything. You know, when it comes to the flavorings and the herbs and spices, you can play around with it a little bit. You don't necessarily have to use exactly what I use. I just find that this mix of flavorings, herbs, spices, etc., gives it the as close to a meat burger as possible, or as close to a Beyond Burger as possible, at least that I've done so far. Look, in 6 or 12 months, I'll probably make another video and say, oh, that other vegan burger was absolutely crap. But for now, it's not. As always, please like, share, subscribe, or anything else I'm supposed to say. Anyway, thank you for watching. I am gonna eat this burger and then get out in the sun, because I live in Scotland, and I don't know if you know that much about Scotland, but that glowy thing out there doesn't happen that often. Thanks.